Business competition usually means the battle for market share and figuring out the strategies to win that share. But competition is also about selling perceptions. And that's often the difference between success and failure, especially if you're selling a product similar to another one. So here's a classic battle where perceptions really do matter. A street weekly circulation war in one of Canada's most lucrative and competitive markets. Colin King reports.
5 a.m. Thursday morning, Toronto. This printing press has been running all night long. In just hours, Metropolis will hit the street again. 7 a.m. across the city, a second press is winding down. In just hours, Now will be out on the town too. By Friday night, tens of thousands of Torontonians will be planning their weekends with Now and Metropolis. That's why advertisers pay to get in these free entertainment guides. Now prints nearly 93,000 copies a week, but Metropolis has just doubled its run to 150,000. Now, the market leader is rich with rock and roll stories, nightclub ads, the arts, and business personals. Metropolis, the challenger, is thinner, but it's staking out food, fashion, movies, and companion services. But now, the oil industry's ravaging the Amazon. At Metropolis, someone's languishing in lingerie. Does Now worry about Metropolis? Now publisher Michael Hollett.
It's not a paper that I read, frankly. I mean, that's pretty basic.
There's a few copies floating around here.
We might look at it. We don't read it.
And how's Metropolis doing? Publisher Richard Rotman.
You turning a profit yet?
No, we're not turning a profit steadily yet. Certainly we have made a profit then and now. But then again, the business plan didn't say that you're going to make a profit instantly, and business plans never do.
Now turned a profit of $600,000 in 1988 on sales of $4 million. Not a bad year for Michael Hollett and his founding partners, ex-campus radicals from the 70s who just wanted to keep their ideals and make some money in the 80s, with a so-called alternative weekly that would cater to young, hip urbanites and deliver them to small businesses who couldn't afford to advertise in the dailies. Looked good on paper, but the real story was inked on Now's covers. Back in 1981, when Bob and Doug McKenzie were taking off, Now cost 50 cents and Now was broke. The fix? 11 weeks later, when Francis Ford Coppola was up front, Now was free and on track. The gamble? By giving Now away to grab more readers, Now could sell more ads. It worked.
Hi, it's Richard. How are you?
Now Richard Rotman's gambling with the $1.5 million he raised when he moved here from Chicago 3 years ago. Rotman left his family's public relations firm behind and convinced his Toronto money partners Metropolis would appeal to a more upscale niche of readers who weren't interested in Now's left-of-center point of view.
And we definitely saw the niche as an older, more affluent audience that not only had more money to spend, but had a lot of different interests than wouldn't be covered in our competitor, which kind of staked out the music and political position.
But being lefty, says Michael Hollett, is a clear marketing alternative.
All right, so what's this? This is next week?
No, this is this week to go with the news story.
Okay.
A newspaper needs a distinct voice to stand out in the crowd.
Horrible, horrible.
Yeah,
sadness,
famine.
But Now's careful not to let its editorial position swamp its entertainment focus.
It's too sad.
Better graphic, but too depressing.
Too depressing, that's right.
Now's selling itself as the advertiser's gateway to the well-heeled 18 to 34 crowd. No surprise, then, that Metropolis claims the 30-something bunch, with even more cash at hand. Can both survive, or must one die? Metropolis says it has the momentum, but Now says Metropolis doesn't have the readers advertisers want.
What sells advertising is not circulation, it's readership. You know, you can print all the papers you want. If nobody reads them, you're still not going to sell a button or a hockey ticket or a ballet ticket or anything else. It's just the way it is.
It's a good little scrap in a tough newspaper town. But at times, this rivalry has a personal edge. Here's what it sounded like last fall on the CBC Toronto radio program, Later the Same Day.
In fact, this is the first time that Michael has ever talked to me. He stands in the same room with me and refuses to speak to me.
That's Rotman from Metropolis. Hollett from Now is asked if it's true.
But do you not speak to him when he's in the room?
We don't see a lot of each other.
Well, but we do see each other, Michael. We spent a whole weekend in California. You virtually ordered your whole staff not to say anything to me. You yourself stand right next to me. You don't say a word. I mean, after all, who taught you manners?
Richard, I'm sorry. You're so sensitive.
Psych out? Gamesmanship? Hollett denies Metropolis poses any threat, but admits he's responding as if it could. It's a smooth spin at explaining away a competitor you say you don't have to watch.
Anyone who's making a beat on me, no matter how effective or ineffective their ability to deliver on that process, I would have my back up. I would be, I'd be narrowing my gaze at them. Because, you're foolish not to, because someday you might get someone who knows what they're doing. Better to be in place already in terms of responding to anybody's challenge than sort of wait till the day you find out this one was worthwhile.
Here's a Metropolis move, the pizza connection that made them sit up at Now.
Well, it's a great idea, but actually Pizza thought of it.
It's how Rotman doubled his circulation to 150,000 overnight.
I guess our talent was to figure out that it was a great idea.
The idea? The first 75,000 pizzas made each week at 135 Toronto locations go out the door with a Metropolis on top. The deal? Pizza gets a free ad and added value on its product. Metropolis sails right into 75,000 homes, and Now's Michael Hollett gets to narrow his gaze again.
The pizza eaters of Toronto were not sitting there scratching their sauce-covered chins wondering, gee, life would be great if I had double cheese for free and a newspaper to read right now.
The home delivery concept has never been done by any weekly anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Nobody's ever dreamed up this idea or gotten involved in it, and it is something new, and it does take some convincing.
This was not a need that needed to be met, and I don't think you ever get anywhere in business or in media by meeting needs that don't need being met.
We've had advertisers who've had the paper 3 times on a pizza box in 1 week because they ordered pizza 3 times, and they say that's triple the message.
Will the pizza gambit work? Printing an extra 75,000 copies costs Metropolis an extra $10,000 a week. That's an extra $500,000 a year. Now the pressure's on Metropolis to find new advertisers to pay its increased costs. This nightclub owner is a Now advertiser, but this Metropolis salesman is trying to talk him on side with a good discount and no-risk terms.
But we can write on the contract that if you're not happy with it in 6 or 8 weeks, we can rip it out.
Across town, a Now salesman's at work.
You're still responsible for 25 insertions.
Right.
Renewing this restaurateur's annual agreement.
What I'll do is I'll sign this, but I'll first just go over the small print. I do want to just read it. It's even smaller than before.
Still, there's no problem here getting a signature.
There it is.
I guess I'd better sign.
Back here, the club owner goes for Metropolis's trial offer.
I would like to test it. That I can say yes to.
But he's hedging his bets. He's not pulling his Now ad.
25 music, 37 classified.
Metropolis can't offer trial discounts forever, but Richard Rotman's partners are showing the depth of their pockets by hanging in against Now.
25 music.
And last year, Metropolis pulled $1 million in sales from the market. It might have been Now's if Metropolis wasn't around. But Michael Hollett says he's not convinced.
There's got to be someone they've talked to that we hadn't talked to first. And my position is, thank you very much, because they'll be talking to us last.
Richard Rotman, of course, disagrees with Michael Hollett. And on this issue, there never will be room for agreement.
I do think there is room for 2 for the short term. Whether there is for the long term, that's an open question.
I'm sure Mr. Hollett would say the same.
I don't think so. I think he'd say there was only room for him.
For Venture, I'm Colin King.